I'm happy to have Sergio here today. And I actually know him just by another friend because I was in Galapagos and was thinking of going in the jungle in Ecuador. In the end, my ocean love was bigger, to be honest, and I stayed in the islands. But still, I think it's very interesting to have you here. And yeah, maybe you want to talk a bit about who you are, like introduce yourself first, where you're from to get an idea.
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me, Merle. It's a pleasure. Hopefully that trip to the Amazon can happen at some point in the future, because I'm sure that you will definitely like it. Different than the ocean, but also a lot of life, a lot of energy there. And yeah, well, so I'm Sergio Severino. I'm an environmental manager from Ecuador. I'm working right now with ecotourism, especially with some social environmental projects that do ocean conservation, yeah, the Amazon conservation, and some with a lot of with indigenous territories, communities to protect their lands and their rights, because they're struggling for the rights of many of these communities.
So, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Guayaquil, Ecuador. It's the biggest city of Ecuador. It's close to the ocean. Like yeah, the beach the closest is Playas. That it's an hour. But yeah, I've always used to go to the beach when I was since I was a kid.
So, when we were talking before, you said that your original way in the beginning was economic, right? So, you started with the business way. Like, do you want to tell a bit like how did your way change? Like, why did you start with business and then go into a topic that is probably more heart driven, right?
Yeah, so first, well, I wasn't sure what I was gonna do, so my family, many of them, they decided to go into business. So I thought I was gonna do the same, what my family was saying, work with my aunt or my uncle or with my grandpa. And I was doing that, and at the same time, I was working as a tourist guide. Well, not a tourist guide, but a mountain guide for kids, taking them to nature with. Because I used to be one of these kids. It was like a vacational camp, and when I was following business, I realized that everything was centering in like everything was about profit. And when I was in taking the kids to nature, I was feeling more connecting with myself, and they were not seeing like the externalities we like to call in like in sustainability, or like the impacts that are generated by the system, by the economic system, you know so I that's like a point where I was trying to see like our impacts, and I was also like discovering that I was really into the environment, and then I started to read about the mountains, about like climate change, because I did there are three big peaks in Ecuador that are Chimborazo, Cotopaxi, and Cayambe. And I did the Cayambe back then, and the guys, the local people were telling me about climate change. And back then, I didn't understand it pretty well. And when I did it, I really got into it, and I decided to do a big switch. Trying to make the environment, trying to make a positive impact on something that I love to do. And I decided to quit the business management and decided to go to environmental management. Yeah, and that was one like a big switch when I decided to do that, and I moved to Argentina. Also, like to have a bigger perspective, because in Ecuador sometimes like circles are very small. You're always in the same society, Well, not like you went to Galapagos. Not in Galapagos. There are a lot of people that they are working towards the environment. Guayaquil is the commercial city
Mm.
of Ecuador, so everything it's about making business, So I went to Argentina and I started all over, and I think was the best choice that I did.
Yeah. Like, what helped you to take this decision? Are you a person that is easy with making changes in your life anyways, or was it more like, was it very clear for you or hard to change, or what, how was the decision making for you?
Oof. Well, yeah, it was a big decision actually. Yeah, it was very tough, but I think when I started going out of my comfort zone, you could say that when I was doing this, because it was the year that I started doing high altitude mountains, like big volcanoes. The Cayambe is, I think, 5,800 meters. Cotopaxi is 5,990 meters, and Chimborazo is 6,300. That's the closest point to the sun. That I was going like out and of my comfort zone, and yeah, starting to see and be more curious about the world. Also, like some people were going different from many parts of the world, and I also felt more alive doing this. And when I was coming back to Guayaquil, it was also like same thing. My friends were doing; they were all partying, and also I was working. I had another more like kind of a business job in like a catering business. And it was like basically I was spending my money partying the same things, but when I was going, to the mountains to do this, I felt more alive, more me, and going out of my comfort zone, challenging me. So I think that helped me a lot to say, okay, yeah, I have to change this, to start like growing, have different perspectives, because yeah, I was always this helped me be more curious, and I went to Buenos Aires, but I think that helped me a lot, being in different environments, challenging me, going out of my comfort zone, and learn and meeting new people. Yeah, I think was that.
But did you said in the beginning that your family was all also into business when they were working. And what did they say to that decision that you choose?
Well, they were I think that yeah, they supported me. I think because they 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 thought that was going to be a good idea for me to keep developing me my family, especially my grandmother and my mother. They were really into education, so
Mm.
they always thought that that was going to be. They always supported that. Maybe my grandpa, he wanted me to stay there, maybe in helping them, with he used to have a banana farm. But you've seen that there are a lot of bananas of Ecuador around the world. So he used to have one, and he wanted me to help him, but well, I think my mom and my grandma, they said, yeah, it's the best for you, and I felt that I had their support.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so then you were in Buenos Aires, and how did that develop then? Because now you're in Barcelona, right? And you were saying in the beginning that your most favorite topics are the indigenous culture and
Yeah.
to help regarding that topic. So do you want to go a bit deeper into that?
Yeah, so I went to Buenos Aires and I started, well, I kept the business because I was working in the catering business. So it was a way that supported me. I was having that job. So I was doing the logistics from Buenos Aires. But in Buenos Aires, I entered into a new field that was the environment, like how like climate change, like pollution, how like sustainability, soil, biodiversity, and so I enter in a new world with different people. I made a lot of connections. I went to a lot of conferences. I started working for an NGO called Vida Silvestre, that they are part of the WWF, the World Wildlife Foundation, the panda. I don't know if you've seen the panda logo.
Hmm.
And there, and they had an event each year that it's called Udemy. I don't know if they still have it, but at Udemy they present everything that they've done along the year. And and they invited someone from Ecuador in this event, a speaker from Ecuador. And I saw her, and her name is Nina Walinga, big friend of mine now. But I was not into environmental topics back then in Ecuador. So I was only learning what was happening in Argentina, educating myself. And I was very curious because I didn't know. She was from the Amazon, and I after the event I went and talked to her. I told her, well, thank you for this, because she talked about many different like very important things that I didn't know, like the indigenous rights, how the extractive companies violate their rights. They don't have their support. The most of this, like the state, help these companies so they can also get the money, from the companies. There's also like a lot of corruption, and they don't do it well also because there are many oil spills until now. And like she opened my eyes, because I knew that something could be happening in the Amazon, but you always, when you think about Amazon, you just see it like something pristine, so the lungs of the forest with the ocean, but no, they're having like they're having many conflicts in this ecosystem. And she opened my eyes. We became. Then I talked to her. I said that I was very grateful for everything that she said, that I wanted to support in a way. And after that, we went and have some drinks with beers with my friends. I invited her. We became really good friends, and I became then like it could be like an collaborator. I don't know, into her projects, and that's how I got involved in many indigenous rights fights and different communities, because there are a lot of communities in Ecuador. Nationalities means that they have their own language, culture, their own spirituality, worldview, and so she introduced me to this, and that's how I then started to think about a project of making people aware about their fights, their rights, and also how to learn about biodiversity, the conflicts, this special ecosystem, how it connects with everything in the world. And but yeah, it happened. It started in Buenos Aires, not in Ecuador.
Hmm. What is so special for you about the indigenous culture? Is it because you feel connected through your own roots, or what does it make it so special for yourself?
Yeah, I could say definitely in Ecuador, in Latin America, most of us, we have in our blood some indigenous roots. In Ecuador, I think it's around 80 to 90%. But we don't recognize it. We just say that we are kind of mixed between, like colonizers, and we are like, we call it mestizos in Spanish. And and you are not, like, at least in Guayaquil, you don't consider them like they have like a lot of knowledge. Even like my family, they don't see like, oh, that they are someone like prepared, or what they know, the ancestral knowledge. And well, when I entered in studying the environment, you can see a lot of cases, and you study like the different civilizations, like the Incas, in Ecuador we had the Huancavilcas, that it was part of my city. Also the Machalillas, that it's in the coast. They were very nice sailors, like the best sailors. One of the Incas, of the emperors, he went to the Machalilla, and they sailed to the Polynesia. Imagine that, like before colonization, because they were one of the best sailors in the world. And all this was kind of erased with colonization. So when I was on trying to understand this, about the ancestral knowledge, the different cultures, how this was erased, and made me understand some conflicts that we have in the world still until today. How you impose one culture, one point of view to another. Uh, so they then depend of your system, and it's like burning books. Imagine, like you erase ancestral knowledge or culture, and it's gone. It's something that it also motivates me and to try to keep it, because with the global civilization, it's really really difficult to maintain, because then they want to be part of the communities, especially the younger generations, of this globalized world than we have, but also like trying to, it's a challenge to make them feel proud of it. It's something that I like to work on it, because it has a lot of value. For medicine, you have like ancestral plants, even like curare, for example. It's a plant from the Amazon that many hunters use to hunt. It has a venom, and they use it. I don't know what it's called. This weapon. They blow it.
Hmm. With the arrow.
Exactly. Yeah, and this venom makes yeah like it's very hard for the animals there. So many in the Western medicine, they use it as anesthesia. So and they discover it from the local knowledge, from ancestral knowledge. Like some scientists came and they went to the communities, they learned from it, but yeah, they don't recognize this knowledge to the communities. And many of this comes from the ancestral, generational, local knowledge. So yeah, it's something that really interests me.
What would you say is your biggest impact by now? Like, I mean, you're studying that topic still, right? Like you're in your master's in the moment, right?
Yes,
And mhm.
it's ecological economics to try to value this in a way, because well, environmental management is different. Try to manage, the environment sustainably, society, economy, the environment. And I chose ecological economics to try to give a value. It's really difficult, because our world, see, it's been taught to have a monetary value for everything, but there are, like, we call it intrinsic values, that it's really difficult to put a value on, like the ocean, for example, or trees, or the forest, or ancestral knowledge, because it gives us many things that you cannot give a value only monetary. So I chose this to try to show these kind of values to support the communities, the social environmental projects, and more.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if that's a very like a jump to a new topic, but do you know David Attenborough?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
That's, I mean, it's a very well known, for everyone that doesn't know him, it's a very well known documentator, right? And he turned 99 recently, and he actually launched a documentary which is called Ocean. I don't know if you saw it before. Do you
Not
see?
yet.
Because they launched it in specific cities in Germany, and now it's also available for everyone on Disney Plus. Actually, what he did is, like, on his 99th birthday, he was launching that documentary, which is amazing by itself already. I think it's incredible that, because he doesn't have to do that anymore, but he's doing it from passion, out of passion. And what he's basically sharing in that documentary is this message that the ocean with the kelp forests has basically more impact of the CO2, how do you say in English, carbon dioxide absorption,
Yeah,
than the
yeah,
whole rainforest. And that these now it's challenging for me how to say it. The boats that have these huge nets that are like basically like destroying the entire ocean ground.
Yeah, I know, I know.
So they're basically fishing, but just destroying the entire ground of the ocean, which means all the kelp is gone, all anemones, corals, whatever is growing there is it's gone afterwards. And he is showing that in very close pictures and videos because they basically put a camera inside of the net, and it's just like cleaning up everything, like everything is gone afterwards. And then he was telling basically that a lot of people are interested in, which is obviously amazing, but everyone is focusing on the rainforest to save as much as they can, even though it's 100% not enough yet. But the fact that most of the world is covered by the ocean, like by the sea, and under the water, the kelp forests are absorbing a lot of CO2. And a lot of people are not aware about that. And so he's telling about this problem. And he was basically explaining that it needs around 4 to 5 years, which is not a lot, to leave the ground untouched, and then it can grow back, which could be through forbidding like the local fishery around smaller islands for like a specific area, and then it can grow back, and then it has a ripple effect outside that fishery can be possible again, but through smaller activities, let's say. And I
Yeah.
think this was very, for me, it's very touching because I'm very attached to the ocean somehow. I don't know why. It's just like that since I'm born. But I found that very interesting, like this connection also with the rainforest, with the CO2, and then the ocean. And how is that in your studies, in your masters or wherever? Like, how is this connection between the ocean and the jungle in the projects that you are involved in the moment?
Well, so I think yeah, we have to look at like this the ecosystems, the ocean, the rainforest could be also the mountains in a interconnected way, like a single organism. Is difficult to see it from our point of view, but yeah, it's they are interconnected. So you have like the rainforest, the Amazon, for example. The Amazon, it's they produce their own, they have their own cycle of water. Of it has the it's called the transpiration,
Yep.
from the forest. Then it comes back the clouds. Then they're stuck with the Andes, and it comes back again. So it has a perfect cycle. In the ocean, it has it's bigger, well, and also the forest, it connects over everything worldwide to keep it, the climate cooler, to regulate the temperatures. And it also the Amazon, from the biggest river called the Amazon River. It starts in the Andes, and it ends up in the Atlantic Ocean. It forms a delta. It's one of I think it's the biggest delta. And all these nutrients that start from the Andes, it comes in, ends up in the Atlantic Ocean, and it nurtures it. It's like a natural fertilizer. And in these big deltas, it's where most of the little fish come, and they reproduce there, and they then go out in the ocean to have like adult life, but it's like all these nutrients that comes from the forest that ends in the ocean, and it's kind of a natural fertilizers. And in the ocean, if it's well, it's our planet, it's more and more water than the like earth, so it has a bigger, it's what regulates everything. That's the true lungs of our planet, the ocean. So in the documentary, it's true that it's difficult for us to see it, but with all this the fishing industry, what they're doing, it's terrible. But luckily, it's because it has, imagine like the millions of years it has, the ocean, it has a way to recover faster than the land. So if we have like this local fishermen, the traditional fishers, that used to have, we used to fish before, we can keep it in a balanced way, because then when you look at nature, everything is in balance. Is how it should be. Not like over exploiting, like that goes, I think, for everything, even for us, right? So yeah, I think it's fascinating when you see that, everything, it's interconnected. It's like a single huge organism, like our planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that leads to I would have many ideas now in which direction we could go because I like to flow, like let these conversations flow. But because also like at this weekend I was at an event which is basically mostly about coaching, but there was a spiritual guy. It's called Sadhguru.
Oh
He's
yeah,
an
yeah.
Indian spiritual guru, I would say. And he was talking about spirituality and explaining its spirituality. And he's like an Indian guy with like a turban and like huge beard and like very wise person. They're actually implementing in the moment an application about meditation that is for free for everyone. And they're pushing it, supporting it, especially in the US in the moment to make it available for everyone, that everyone is able to understand how meditation works. And he was basically the reason why I'm pointing out this now is that he was telling that everything is atoms, like the whole body, like the whole earth, everything, everything. So in the end, everything is connected. And I think that's something when I also like 7, 8 years ago, I started also to go more into yoga, into like connecting myself back to nature and stuff. Because when I was also a lot involved in business and corporate world and stuff, and I felt out of a sudden not really connected anymore with nature and myself and stuff. And I think that all this helps actually. The more aware people are getting, the more yeah, caring they are to each other, but also to the nature. It has a big effect on everything, I think, because in the end, everything is one. That's what his message was in the end. I mean, he was talking a lot about all kind of things, but in the end, that's the main message. And I think it's the same in nature. Like everything is connected, and I think that's something that most people are not aware about. That, yeah, like as I said, that he, like David Attenborough, made sure that people are understanding in a very easy way how important these kelp forests are underwater, because some people don't even know what is a kelp forest. I mean, that's like for everyone that doesn't know, it's an algae, but I would say like plants underwater that are basically absorbing CO2. And yeah, I think that's a very, to me, it's a very yeah, unique way of thinking because like freediving, yoga, all these yeah, I mean it's sports, but in the end I think it's a way of life somehow because I have never met any freediver that is not connected to the ocean or to the nature, right? So it's like yeah, also this awareness of having a look inside, it's also if you want or not, you go into personal development as a freediver because you're confronted by your own thoughts. If you want to or not, it's gonna happen anyways. You're holding the breath and then you're like, let's say, fighting against the mental thoughts that are coming, like, what am I doing here? I should breathe now, whatever. Like, right? So I think that's very interesting in general. And to me, it's all connected, like the natural, environmental aspect, also with the philosophy of living through freediving, yoga, and all these parts. And you also said that freediving, that you yeah, got into the world of freediving as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was after the pandemic, actually, when after the pandemic, came back to Ecuador to help my family, my grandparents especially, and I also was starting then this project of ecotourism, and then I like was moving around Ecuador, connecting the communities, the social environmental projects, and being, in Guayaquil, then so close to the ocean, I wanted to connect with the ocean again because in Argentina, all those years I wasn't going to the ocean that much, and this was the perfect occasion. And then I met Nusi. I met her, and I decided to do the free diving course with the Sea Sisters. And yeah, it was in the beginning. It was really hard. I was, oh, this is harder than when I expected. Yeah, because yeah, you try to become, you're in a different environment, and yeah, you're doing something that your body's not used to. So yeah, you get stressed, you get scared, you don't feel comfortable, and I remember I wanted to go up immediately. It was really difficult to go out of that of the comfort zone. So, but I think yeah, I think it's when you start doing something new, like these challenges of going out of your comfort zone. In the beginning, you're not gonna like it, right? But you have to be consistent. And luckily, I was living in Ayampe back then, because maybe if I was in Guayaquil or somewhere else, maybe I didn't do properly the course. But I was living in Ayampe, and I was there. And when they were coming even to like go out, because many people, from what I've seen, they sometimes maybe they do the course, they pass it, but they just like a checklist, and they don't start like keep going and get better, and connect with themselves, and have it like, like a way of living. But I was living in Ayampe. You have to go one day. It's beautiful. My favorite place. One of my favorite beaches in the world. And so I was going, I kept going, I finished the course, I passed it, then I started going with them. It was this what the whale season started.
Mm. Yeah.
It's from I think you went, it wasn't the whale season, but the whale season in the coast
Probably
of,
September, October, August,
yeah,
something like that.
it starts end of May until like November. So I was going with them. Also, the manta season starts. That is the giant of the oceanic manta race. So, like, then you start getting better, like being consistent, connecting more with yourself, feeling, yeah, in like in a zen mode, in water. And then you could hear like the whales. You sometimes you see like mantas, wildlife, and it's like you are part of everything. And yeah, then you can go, yeah, a little bit deeper. And it was I, I connected with the ocean again. Now I feel bad when I'm not in the ocean. It's like, oh, I
Mm.
need to go to the ocean. And
Barcelona has also, because you're in Barcelona right now, and then Barcelona, I was freediving also. There's a very nice freediving school. They go out with a boat. I mean, of course, you don't see you don't see oceanic mantas, and you also don't see humpback whales. But the ocean itself is very nice in Barcelona, and they have very good deep diving, like trainers and instructors there. So I did one deep dive in Barcelona already as well, and they're very good there.
oh, you did it. Oh, if you have the contact, because
Yeah.
when I, yeah, I was looking for some, some groups that they were doing. I found them, but that was in the winter season when they were not going out. But now, yeah, I definitely can do
It's nice. Yeah.
some dives with them.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. I mean, with the whales, that's another that's I don't know why, but for some reason for me, whales are the most incredible animals in this world. And I had actually, I mean, I had also an episode with Nuzi, so in this podcast as well. So, and we were talking about whales actually also, because I was in French Polynesia last year, diving with humpback whales in Tonga, Tahiti, and Moorea. And I think I'm not sure, but when I talked with her, it was I think before the trip or after the trip or something like that, because we were also talking about the whales actually.
Yeah,
And
fascinating, right?
yeah,
Fascinating. Yeah, it's I almost, for my goodbye before coming back to Barcelona, it was September of last year. It was season, a lot of whales, and I was with Erica. Do you know Erica?
Erica,
Erica
no,
Erica Carrera. She was friend of Nusi. They were the Sea Sisters with Maria Veronica, and well, I was with Erica. We went out, and in the ocean in Ecuador, the quality, because we are in the middle of the world, there are sometimes many particles, and it's not that clear, the water. If you see 10 meters, it's amazing, but it's really difficult to see 10 meters. And we almost hit a whale, when we were diving. We were just swimming. We knew that it was there because we saw it from the ocean, and then I was just swimming. And when I saw it, I thought I was gonna hit her, and I directly like turned right, and she turned left, and like I became like a little ball because I thought I was gonna hit her with my fins, and then I saw that she was going, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna follow her, but that I was having a lot of adrenaline. I didn't expect that I was gonna hit her, but then I saw her that she had her calf like protecting him or her the calf, and I thought, oh no, maybe I'm gonna scare them, and I'm gonna let them go.
yeah,
But it was it's probably like the best feeling and magical thing. It was the best farewell of this. It was the last time that I like free dive with my equipment
yeah,
properly,
yeah,
but yes, it's fascinating, I think. Yeah, even when you're like free diving, all this, this is things that are happening around you, like sometimes when you're hearing whales, or even the ocean, or fish, or the noise of corals. You enter in another state that you forget that you need to breathe. Sometimes
yeah,
it happens to me. And like, yeah, you're like with the environment, one with the environment, and then you're like, oh, I need to breathe.
yeah,
And you can even, last way longer than when you're like, okay, like I'm free diving. And when you're thinking, okay, let's see, I'm gonna challenge myself. And when you're in that state with the environment, like you can be, I think, longer in water.
yeah. I think it's also like I had also what you were telling with the calf and the mom. Like I had moments which were so special as well. Like the mom was basically eye to eye and just checking because I had the feeling that the moms were checking out, can she trust or not? And then she would like she fell asleep and the baby was playing with us. That was crazy. And she was
Wow.
just closing her eyes, sleeping, and the baby was coming towards us. We would like turn around, the baby was turning around. It was crazy. I think we would have been like 15 minutes with the baby and the mom. That was so special. And I mean, they have obviously rules, but that was the maximum we could stay with them. That was amazing. And then so many moments. Like also there was a male that was very full of adrenaline because they're in the mating season.
Mhm.
And he was coming very close, where I was like, okay, shit, what am I doing now? And I was trying to turn around, but with freediving fins, so long fins, And so it took a little bit, and then he actually kicked with his fin my foot, but luckily it was like
Wow.
not the ankle, but the top of the fin.
Yeah.
So he kicked it, and the fin just slipped away from my foot. And someone took it immediately, luckily, because elsewise, I mean, there's like, I don't know how many meters, 1,000 meter until the sea ground. So the fin is gone,
Yeah.
basically, then. So someone took it, and luckily it was just here. But because if it's on the ankle, it would be broken right away, with their power. And there was a moment where I also realized, like, wow, they are full of energy and power. Like, they are very, very powerful animals, but still very sensitive because I heard so many stories now where whales were basically saving people because a shark came and then they protected the humans and stayed so close. That was with sperm whales, a topic where the sperm whales stayed so close to the person that the shark couldn't come
Mm.
close to the human anymore. Or like so many stories where the whales were actually saving people, actually also. And yeah, to me, it's just incredible. Like it's the energy that you feel there is something out of this world. For me, it was the most special thing I have had experience in my life, I guess. And what I realized is also
Polynesia.
that. Hmm?
That was in Polynesia, French Polynesia.
French Polynesia, yeah. And I think for me, like what I felt is for my clients, I help them to reconnect with their intuition in order to make good decisions that are based, like that are congruent, like that what you say and what you feel is the same, that is all like authentic. Because it's not easy sometimes to be that way because society tells you to not to do whatever, like has a different idea about how to live a life and how to work and what kind of business to have and stuff. And I felt through this whale experience, I was so connected to myself. It was crazy. Like when I came back, I was full of power, like full of like power in a sense of feeling fully myself. It was very, very, for me, it was magical, like that moment and that feeling and everything. And I think that happens when you're really like following what your heart is leading you for. That's what's happening, And then these doors are opening where you're thinking like, wow, where is this invite coming from? And why does this happen now? And everything is unfolding. And then people used to say like, oh yeah, because maybe you're just like these lucky people, But it's not luck in my eyes. I think it's you follow what's meant to be for you. And I feel that's what you're doing as well. That's why I wanted to have you in the podcast as well, talking about the indigenous culture, the roots, to bring them back to the people also that probably are not that connected to themselves anymore because our society is way quicker than in the past. Everything is fast, technology, KI, whatever. Um, and I think it's very important to keep the roots, to keep the culture from, yeah, the ancestors as well. Especially indigenous culture is very, I mean, very rich from what you said, also with the plants and everything. I think a lot to learn, also medicine wise and stuff. So yeah, amazing. To slowly come to an end, what would you say is something that was, let's say, mind blowing for yourself? What you learned throughout this whole environmental path that you're on now? Like
Mm.
something that you want to maybe share with others that might be helpful.
I think, well, if something mind blowing, because I've had like, well, many things, so it's difficult to think about one.
Mhm.
Because
Can be two or three, but
yes, in this environmental path, because well, some people I think it's more connected to the ocean. Some people's more connected to the mountains. Some with the forest, the jungle. For me, it's been mind blowing how like I think I've incorporated a little bit of everything. I think I like I like to be connected with everything, to adapt in every case. and it was, I think it was a transition for me, like being starting like being young, a kid, going to the mountains. Then I started doing like high altitude mountains, and this helped me to transition then to go out and then learn about the environment. And then I went to the forest, then I connected with the ocean, and realizing how like we're all connected. Then yeah, learning from the indigenous communities, then how they can maintain, like a healthy forest, or yeah, or local, the indigenous fishermen, how before they used to have a healthy a healthy ocean, with the fish, and how like everything, is it's in balance. And when we are living in this system that it's like anthropic system, that we've created, that it has to be quick, that we need to do this, what society says, then we start to be disconnected and not being like in balance. And then we like to say, oh, I need to disconnect, and need to go to nature. So working with the indigenous communities, they have this spirituality or worldview. Some of them, for example, Sarayaco from the Amazon, their worldview or spirituality, it's called Kausak Sacha, that it means the living forest. And it's a way of seeing the world, that it's like an entity, the forest, and how they see it like with rights, like living a living species being. And so they know that they have like a duty, that they need it for food, to survive, for medicine. So when you take this, and to be like live in balance and have a relationship with it, so you can live sustainably for all, even for like then the next generations or kids and everything. And then that they need, you know like just the forest, and they are living healthier. Many of these communities, they live more than 100 years old, only with the traditional knowledge, and they don't have this stress that we have in society, or these chronic diseases that we're having. And I think that was really mind blowing for me, but I've like incorporated for everything. But yeah, when we go, right, like it could be like the ocean for many, the mountains, or the forest, or local traditions that we learn. I think, yeah, these all are like gates, in a way to try to connect with our roots, or our ancestral knowledge, and how our ancestors used to live, and how to used to live in a balance, connected with the environment, connected with us. And yeah, and pursue our dreams, or goals, or what we want to do. So so yeah, I think for me, was all of that, all that transition. And I think it's not like it doesn't stop, it's I don't think it's like, okay, yeah, I found it. No, I think it's more like it's a whole process, and it keeps going. I think it doesn't. For me, it's like doesn't stop, because then you're also gonna have like more things that you're gonna be interested, you're gonna learn, and want to support, or some maybe in the future I learn about a new passion, and I want to start doing it. So I think it's something that is like, it's like a way, and yeah, and it keeps going. But yeah, we have to learn to follow it, and to open these doors.
Mhm.
Sometimes we close it, I think.
What would you say to someone that doesn't feel so connected in the moment with themselves, nature? Like, I think it has a it's a circle. Like, if you don't really connect with yourself, you're also not feeling connected with the nature. In my idea, I think. What would you give like an advice for someone that is maybe also living more in the city, and not able to just jump in the ocean or do free diving or go a hike on a mountain? Like, because you're also in Barcelona now. I mean, there's the ocean, obviously, but like it's more city life. So what would you tell people that are looking for more connection to themselves and nature?
I feel, I think that yeah, it's hard that it's not their problem, It's because it's sadly like the system, how it makes us. It is, that it makes us that we are unconnected with nature, right? So I think like we are social beings, right? Maybe like the best way, is to try to find like a community, like start like finding like because a community, because if you're not used to go alone, it's really hard, right, to go alone. When I started going like into the mountains, into the wild, I found a community. Also with freediving, I found a community, and then you get into this, and then you start feeling confident. Maybe like I think that the first step were like our ancestors. You had to be in a community to survive. If you were out of the community, probably you were gonna die before, like thousands of years ago. So
Yeah.
first, you find a community, so you start feeling more secure into the ocean, mountains, the Amazon, whatever that you want to connect with the nature, and then you're gonna start feeling, better and better, and maybe then you're gonna be a free diver, a mountainer, or I don't know.
Mhm.
So I think community is very, very important, and it's something that it's also lost in cities, in society, and like sometimes you don't know who is living right across you, or you don't care, and that's also a problem. Before we used to have a community, and this is also that you learn a lot in indigenous communities, like they do everything together. They support themselves. They do mingas. A minga, it's like when they get together to, for example, to clean the territory that they have, so they are not snakes, for example, or insects. So they all have a role. And also when they have like their traditions, everything it's in community. They drink the chicha, they share it. So community for me is
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. Very true. Also, I think like-minded community, that's also a thing because you can be with a group of people where you don't feel the click, then it's also not the best, I think. I think
Oh,
like-minded community is 100% the way to connect and to get also further in that direction that you want to go. So yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You gotta find, yeah, some people you're not gonna connect, some people you
Yeah.
are gonna
Yeah. Nice.
100%.
Amazing. What would you say, just to come to the real end now, to what is your vision, your dream that you hope for, like for this world or for yourself, that you're working forward to?
So that's a big question, but well, one of my dreams, a vision, I would like to, well, it's a big dream, but first, luckily, I would like to work with every indigenous community first in Latin America or America. Also, we have indigenous communities in North America, in Canada, and yeah, try to work with them and to support their fight, to try to maintain their ancestral knowledge. Well, it will be more obviously. I would like it to be like in all the world, and yeah, having like collaborative projects, that's to, to work with them and make people aware of it, like program, people that can go and learn from them and connect with themselves, because I think it helped me a lot to connect with myself, to learn from my roots, and connect with yeah with the universe, the world. So it's something that I would like to do. Um, yeah, and also yeah, keep learning from new ecosystems, new places, because there are many things to learn. Keep learning and support these communities and social environmental projects. That's like my dream.
Nice. Amazing. Cool.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for having you here and for your time. And yeah, for everyone that is listening, feel free to follow this podcast, and also you can give obviously 5 stars to the show that this podcast can reach more people. And yeah, thank you so much, Sergio, for your time.
Thank you,
Nice.
Marley. Thank you for having me. So hopefully I can you can come visit and to the Amazon. That trip is it's still on the list.
Yeah. Maybe next year, who knows? Thank
Mhm.
you.